As I told you, I always ask one question of all the diplomats who oblige us with their presence on this show. And that has to do with something we started to discuss before the break. How do you explain a president like President Duterte, especially the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, and again, when your principals in Europe call and say, we just woke up to this headline, and the president was just saying things about Europe and Europeans and specific countries and so on. What do you say? What's the immediate mode that you take?
I think in the beginning, when these cases came, there was sort of a sense of it's probably a misquote, that was this really what was said. Then after that, I think colleagues started to focus on what is the substance here, how does this affect our overall relationship and so on. And
after you confirm that, yes, he did actually say it. Yeah.
And I think now we're probably into the third stage, and that is that how do we work with governments that have different views on a number of issues compared to what we have? I mean, how do we maintain a constructive and productive working relationship? Because we still have things in common, we still have shared objectives. And obviously the solution is not that we turn the back to each other.
Yes.
We have to work with each other. We also have to make sure that we keep the right time.
So you go, if I may summarize, you go from a little skepticism, did he really say this, to shifting mode, saying that, well, what is he really trying to say? And to get to the point when you say that, look, how do we work with this leader? How quickly or slowly did that adjustment
I'd say it probably took almost more than 2 years. And there were a little bit of ups and downs in that, because on the statements, and they sort of modified a bit, but then suddenly there would be a new one that would come. And also on the economic relationship to us, there's been a bit of a tendency that the government has been looking for new economic partners, which I think most of us, we have an understanding for, and maybe also a sympathy for. This is quite a natural development.
Was this an all-EU approach? Or was it just specific to, I mean, or do different European countries have a different approach to the president?
We have 15 EU ambassadors here with the EU member states, and I think probably some people may have seen this development faster. Some saw maybe different developments, and some they saw the developments a little bit slower maybe. So the perspectives could be quite different, but I think roughly we are in this category with the 3 developments, roughly speaking.
But Mr. Ambassador, how do you weed out or differentiate between hyperbole and exaggeration versus policy pronouncements by the president? Like when he hits the EU, does it have any impact on how the EU views the relations between two countries? Or not the two countries, but between the EU and the Philippines?
We tend not to react in terms of pride. So, I mean, if you say hitting our pride, we tend not to react to that. We simply move on and say, this is our job, I'm reasonably well paid, and we have to take these different statements, and that's what it is. But I, for one, I tend to listen quite carefully to what the president is saying. And I wouldn't say that I take everything at face value, but I take it quite seriously, because I think even some statements where you can say, I mean, this is not meant at face value, there's probably an underlying idea there that's important to draw out and see what is it that this particular issue is about.
He will be saying farewell to the president soon. If you get an appointment, of course.
Yes.
Maybe you can give us an idea of what you might want to say to him in farewell.
I would probably look back at the work that I've been trying to do over the past 4 years, and I would try to give some ideas about what my successor could be doing, and what the president he would possibly could look at in terms of the relationship. I think when he got elected, and also today, many of the ideas that he came with are actually ideas that have a deep resonance also in Europe. A pro-poor agenda, independent country. We have many countries in Europe where we have big neighbors that feel that they need to break out of that shadow, and they have to create their own path, their own destiny. And the Philippines is like one of those European countries. And I have great sympathy for that.
Yeah, on the other hand, if you had just one piece of advice for your successor, what would your advice be?
One piece of advice, I would say, don't react immediately.